Storm 24.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And boy, some of the images coming in so far probably aren't the worst that we're going to see from the damage from the storm that hit Florida overnight. I know CNN had some images, and that water was really, really high.
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned yesterday, the storm surge. People forget with hurricanes, you know, it's strong winds, heavy rain, but that surge of ocean water inland is what causes the flooding. Matter of fact, right here you can just see the devastation with a lot of that flooding. Category 4 storm, so this is a pretty strong one.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Category 4, Category 5, call how it is, it's a lot of damage. Now let's see where it is right now. First off, it is in Georgia at this point as a tropical storm. It has now lost its hurricane tag, but still 70-mile-per-hour winds and lots of heavy rain. And the path of that system will still continue north and slightly shift its way west before it starts remaining stationary over the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. Now, even though the winds will be weakening, it still will be a pretty decent storm, heavy rain, potentially some minor wind damage with that. So again, our thoughts are with the folks that are in the path of that storm. It's still a very strong one. Here locally, we've got areas of dense fog. It's pretty widespread today. We've got near zero visibility in Rome, in Hamilton, heading into the Mohawk Valley, heading north into Old Forge, and south into parts of Cooperstown, even Oneonta. So again, if you're heading out the door this morning, watch out for that fog. The radar right now, of course, showing an inversion, but most of us are dry, just some areas of patchy light drizzle. That fog lifts, we'll see sunshine by the early afternoon before clouds return once more, and we could see some effects of Helene heading into the weekend. We'll talk about what those effects are straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And as Eric mentioned, Hurricane Helene has moved inland and is now targeting Georgia and the Carolinas as it remains a powerful storm, still with winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. Meanwhile, residents of the Florida Panhandle are waking up to a path of destruction in Helene's wake. NBC's Jay Gray joins us now from Tallahassee, Florida, with more. Jay? And we are having some technical issues with that story right now. We will get that to you as soon as we can. Meanwhile, New York State is sending first responders to North Carolina to be staged to go wherever needed. 16 Swiftwater rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care. Of course, we will bring you the very latest on Hurricane Helene as we do get more information into our newsroom. Now to a developing story.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Welcome back. The time now is 5:10. As you just saw the KV Tower camera, you can barely see the city of Utica. Matter of fact, barely at all. And that's the case for pretty much all of the area. We've got dense fog for most of central New York, as far north as Old Forge. Heading into downtown Utica, same story. Dense fog. Let's head to Oneonta. A foggy start to the day, and then again, Cooperstown showing up as a very foggy start. So again, this is a foggy morning across the region. We expect it to be foggy after those rain showers yesterday, and then the clear skies causing a massive cool down due to radiative cooling. But the traffic tracker showing quiet conditions for most of the area at this point. No accidents or incidents reported for now. But again, today, heading out the door this morning, might have to budget some extra time because of that dense fog across the board. This fog will lift, and we'll see some sunshine this afternoon. It's going to be a very pleasant Friday. Clouds will increase as we head into this evening, and this could be what will be the remnants of Hurricane Helene, which is now Tropical Storm Helene at this point. And on top of that, with some of the clouds, we could see an isolated shower. We'll talk about those rain chances as well as those cloud chances straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. There have been some high-profile athletes.
The weather spoil your day. Tune in for the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, brought to you by Munson. Visit Munson today and ignite curiosity and creativity. Visiting Munson and the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, both free and both Utica's very own. Remember, all roads lead to Munson.
News Channel 2 is brought to you by PJ Green.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, Central New York. After a rainy one yesterday, much needed rain fell across the area. Dense fog has set up for most of the local region. Taking a live look in downtown Utica right now, it's a foggy start to your day. Budget a few extra minutes to go out on your morning commutes. Now, current conditions sitting in the 50s with fog. Griffith and Rome, muggy, dew points of 55 with calm winds. And we're expecting a quiet day today. As you can see here, a lot of green in the radar, just the inversion picked up from those temperatures rapidly cooling. But it's dry across the board. High pressure has moved in once more. But notice to the south, here is what's left of Hurricane Helene, now a tropical storm Helene, as this makes its way through center of Georgia, heading north into the South Carolina border. That stronger northeast eye wall of that storm hitting Augusta, South Carolina, heading towards Greenville. If you know any of the folks in that area, you'll be seeing plenty of rain and plenty of wind still around 70 to 80 mile per hour rotational winds in that storm. Bigger picture, high pressure firmly in place today. As we head into the weekend, we're not going to see a direct impact from Helene, but with the strength of this storm, it's enough to send a surge of tropical moisture up north, and it's strong enough to not get completely eroded from this high pressure. Originally, when the hurricane was expected to be slightly weaker, that high pressure was strong enough to keep those showers south. But with the strength of it right now, this could produce potentially a few clouds and some spotty rain south heading into Saturday. On our Skycast today, valley fog turns to sunshine. Temperatures climbing into the low 70s, a very pleasant day today. Following that, we'll see a few clouds arriving from the south as we head into this evening. These, of course, are from that surge of tropical moisture. Heading into early Saturday morning, notice a few spotty showers. They're falling apart as they move north. Again, we got high pressure up here. That sinking air will erode those showers, but a few of them could survive and go as far north as Route 20 as we head into Saturday afternoon. But regardless of the weather, the weekend fall foliage report, we're thinking more near peak to peak fall colors in the high peaks areas with some locations around it in the midpoint to near peak. Some muted colors reported in Old Forge, but in other spots there are vibrant colors reported as well. So it depends on where you go. Your 7-day forecast, we got a shower isolated on Saturday, mostly cloudy on Sunday. Looking mainly dry for the start of the work week next week, and then cooler weather sets in on Wednesday. High of only 61 with rain showers. So a little bit of a taste of mid-fall by the middle of the week. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Now to our west, out in Auburn, police...
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And Helene, boy, what a path of destruction left behind. The worst still to be seen because it's still dark out, so a tough day ahead for so many folks.
Yes, and once the daylight starts to show up, you can really see the devastation of flooding, the wind damage, unfortunately being a Category 4 hurricane, very strong winds hitting the panhandle. And let's take a look at where it is right now. The latest updates with this system. It is now a tropical storm. So as you can see here, downgraded below hurricane status. It loses its fuel when it gets away from the ocean. That warm ocean water is what strengthens it. When it goes over land, it begins to weaken. But still, it's a strong system. It's in the center of Georgia right now with 70-mile-per-hour rotating winds moving north at around 30 miles per hour. It will still continue north, but then shift out to the west. So we're not going to be seeing a direct impact from this system here in central New York, but we could see a surge of tropical moisture that could produce some clouds, maybe a brief light shower from that northwestern edge of the system as we head into the weekend. For now, though, a live look at downtown Utica. It's a foggy start to your day today, and it's 0-mile visibility for most of central New York. 1-mile visibility out in Syracuse. But regardless, temperatures in the 50s, quiet start. Radar picking up an inversion right now, indicated by that consistent light green color all across the board. We'll climb from the 50s up into the 70s by this afternoon as that fog lifts. A pretty pleasant day across the region. But as we head into tonight, clouds will increase and then the potential for an isolated shower. We'll talk about the latest trends with Helene and how it'll affect our weekend weather straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Vice President Kamala
Station, presented by your local Ford stores. For current offers, visit buyfordnow.com.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Friday. We're showing our final photo of the day this week, and this one takes us to Westmoreland, especially along the Thruway. And this picture is interesting because I experienced this too. I wonder if I saw you on the Thruway as well. I was heading back from Syracuse from the Parade of Homes, and noticed there was some fog forming in patches along the Thruway corridor with a very gorgeous sunrise. Actually, our sunset. As a matter of fact, this is taken the other direction, so it looks like I might have missed you going the other way. But a foggy sunset in Westmoreland taken by Angela. Amazing photo right here. If you would like to submit a photo like this one, showcasing a sunset or maybe even some fall colors as well. We're getting close to peak fall colors in the Adirondacks and eventually some more fall colors as we wrap up September and into the first few weeks of October. We would love to share all the amazing photos right here on Sunrise, as well as on our website, WKTV.com. Well, this morning, it's a dry start. Well, mainly dry. There are some spots of patchy light drizzle, but that's really about it. This fog lifts, sunshine moves in, and temperatures go from the 50s this morning up into the 70s by this afternoon with sunshine. Then a few more clouds increasing overnight tonight. As we look ahead to the weekend, we could see maybe a stray shower, but we'll talk about those shower chances in that full forecast in the minutes ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Bourbon and Blues made a comeback at the Utica.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, everyone. We're starting out the day today with areas of dense fog. That overnight rain, in fact, the yesterday's rain with overnight clear skies caused this dense fog to take place here in downtown Utica right there. A reduced visibility. Heads up as you head to the road this morning. Watch out for pockets of extremely dense fog and just make sure you slow down a little bit. Current temperature sitting at 55 degrees with cloudy skies. Other locations seeing some fog. Comfortable levels of humidity with dew points sitting in the mid to low 50s. And the radar showing an inversion across the board. Basically, when the air sinks so quickly that the radar reflects off of that inversion and starts showing a lot more interference. We're mainly dry, maybe some areas of patchy drizzle, but that's really about it. High pressure is moving into our area once more, but our attention turns to what's left of now Tropical Storm Helene, which is barreling through the center of Georgia, now heading its way into the southern portion of South Carolina. Augusta is now getting slammed with decent winds and rain, and that will continue northward into parts of Greenville and then eventually into Kentucky and Tennessee as it shifts out to the west. But how will this affect us locally? Well, for now, this high pressure keeps things quiet. But with the strength of the system getting to Category 4 status, it's enough strength to surge up this round of tropical moisture. Enough that it would eat away at this high pressure here and produce maybe a light sprinkle or shower south of Route 20. And that's our thoughts still sticking into Saturday. But for today, though, it's looking mainly dry. That drizzle and patchy fog lets up. Sunshine moves in with high temperatures in the 70s. Increasing clouds this evening into the overnight hours. And then tomorrow, again, as I mentioned, a spotty shower as those rainy conditions fall apart when they continue northward. And then eventually, as we head into Saturday evening and Saturday night, those rain showers, again, gradually tapering off. We're cutting it close. I think our model here is a bit more bullish on showing rain north of us on Sunday. I think most of us do remain dry for the second half of the weekend. Our foliage report, again, if you are heading out to view some of the fall foliage this weekend, near peak colors in most of the Adirondacks, reports of whiteface up to 70% changed. And then as you head to the lower elevations in the North Country, still a decent amount of changing colors. Old Forge colors a bit muted, but in other spots there are reports of vibrant colors. So this is not a widespread thing where there's a lot of muted fall colors across the board. 7-day forecast. We've got a chance for rain on Saturday, then mostly cloudy Sunday, and then by Monday and Tuesday of next week, dry weather moves in, cooling down, and rainy on Wednesday. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Utica is hosting lacrosse.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And I know we've been talking about Hurricane Helene all morning long. The damage, pretty bad already, but the worst is yet to be seen overnight, and now you've learned about a lot of power outages.
Yes, and these numbers are just astounding. In Florida alone, 1.2 million folks without power. Households, not including just individuals, numbers probably higher. Georgia, 800,000 without power. South Carolina, 500,000 without power. And even in North Carolina, over 100,000 without power.
Already.
Already, and this storm is still a tropical storm at this point. Matter of fact, let's take a look at where it is at in the southeast right now. It is a tropical storm designation at this point, but even though it lost its hurricane tag, it's still producing 70-plus mile-per-hour rotational winds and some torrential rain. So don't let the fact that it's no longer a hurricane dispel the fact this is still producing some pretty significant damage as well as potential flooding. And that sustained rain continues to shift its way towards the border of Tennessee and Kentucky. So if you know anyone in that path right there, that you want to make sure that they are aware of the potential impacts from this system. Back to our local weather. It's a foggy start today and very foggy in some spots. I do recommend budgeting a few extra minutes or so heading out the door this morning in case you do encounter some very dense fog on your drive to work. As you can see here, very dense, 0-mile visibility reported in Rome, and that denseness continues through the Mohawk Valley and into parts of the southern valleys. Temperature 55 in Rome, inversion showing up the radar, but things are looking dry. Next 12 hours showing fog giving way to sunshine this afternoon. Temperatures in the 70s. It's going to be a very pleasant day today, but as we head into the weekend, we could see some minor impacts from Helene. We'll talk about those impacts and what it means for the forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And as Eric mentioned, Hurricane Helene has moved inland and is now targeting Georgia and the Carolinas as it remains a powerful storm, still with winds of at least 70 miles per hour. Meanwhile, residents of Florida, the Panhandle there, waking up to a path of destruction. NBC's Jay Gray joins us now from Tallahassee, Florida, with more. Jay?
Hey there, good morning. Helene still causing major problems as it continues to push inland. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw in Tallahassee overnight. A violent windstorm moving through this area as the storm pushed across the coastline and through Tallahassee. We know right now that there are more than 1 million people without power in Florida and under 800,000 or so in Georgia without power, and those are numbers that are only going to climb with this storm. Flooding, a serious issue across Florida. We've had several high water rescue attempts in Pasco County alone. 40 people pulled from the high water, and that's a situation that's going to continue as this storm continues to drop massive amounts of rain and strong winds following in all of that as it pushes now through Georgia and ultimately into Tennessee. It's going to continue as we've talked about, causing serious problems here and across the entire path of this storm. Just a massive wind field at landfall close to 500 miles wide. The strongest storm to ever hit the Big Bend region of Florida, at least in modern times since they've been tracking these storms. It's one that we won't know the full extent of until we get some sunrise here and can really get out, inspect, and figure out exactly what Helene left behind. That's the latest right now from here in Tallahassee. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
Jay, thanks. Meanwhile, New York State is sending first responders to North Carolina to be staged to go wherever needed. 16 swift water rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care. Of course, we'll bring you the very latest on Hurricane Helene as we do get more information here into the newsroom throughout the day. Now to a developing story.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good Friday morning, everyone. The time now is 6:11, and as you head out the door this morning, you might encounter some impacts on the road to work. First off, in Old Forge, there is some dense fog taking place up in the North Country, even going as far south as here in the Mohawk Valley. A live view of Utica right now. It's very dense. You can barely see the downtown region in the distance. Thirdly, a look in Oneonta. Some of that fog's actually in the higher elevations. You have a glimpse of the city in the backdrop right there. And then finally in Cooperstown, it is quite a foggy start down there as well. So budget some extra time heading out the door this morning. Currently sitting at quiet conditions across the I-90 corridor. Looks like there is an accident just got reported up here on the map, and it looks to be a crash on Route 67 at Point Rock Road at Bowman Road. This is up in northern Oneida County right here. So again, on Point Rock Road, there is reports of a crash. So a heads up if you are heading up into northwestern Oneida County. But today, areas of patchy dense fog, in fact, a little more widespread than usual. But that fog will lift this afternoon. We'll see dry conditions, sunshine, then a few more increasing clouds. As the weekend shapes up a little different, we'll talk about the changes in the forecast straight ahead. Gary.
Eric, thanks. There have been some high-profile...
Spoil your day. Tune in for the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, brought to you by Munson. Visit Munson today and ignite curiosity and creativity. Visiting Munson and the Storm Tracker 2 Commutecast, both free and both Utica's very own. Remember, all roads lead to Munson. The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, everyone. After rain showers, widespread rain yesterday, things quieted down overnight, but there is some patchy, in fact, almost widespread dense fog across the board. A live look at downtown Utica right now is a very foggy start to your Friday, and conditions also slightly muggy on the comfortable side, dew point in the mid-50s. With a, again, foggy start at Griffiths in Rome. With slight wind at 3 miles per hour, but the wind speeds will not be too bad today. Radar right now, tracking an inversion. That light green indicated by these radar blooms here, but most of the area is quiet, only some isolated spots, some patchy drizzle. High pressure is moving in once more. This is deflecting rain out to the south and east and keeping parts of what's left of Hurricane Helene at bay. However, the stronger forcing is that low pressure out to the west that will be shifting the system inland towards the Tennessee and Kentucky border. Zooming in, we can see the eye wall of this system, which is still a tropical storm with around 70 or so mile-per-hour winds as it slams through the western portion of South Carolina, clipping the portions of North Carolina before, again, shifting west into Tennessee and Kentucky, weakening even more. So still a good amount of wind and rain from this. And I think these numbers can paint a good picture of just how strong the system is. 1.2 million without power in Florida, 100,000 without power in South Carolina, or this should be changed to 500,000 South Carolina, 100,000 in North Carolina. But regardless, 800,000 without power in Georgia. It's a very strong system. Now, this does, again, continue westward, but a surge of tropical moisture driven by this system could reach its way here in central New York for the weekend, and that could maybe produce an isolated shower on Saturday. But for today, though, it's sunny, it's dry, temperatures in the 70s. By tonight, a few more clouds, lows falling down into those 60s with that, again, that surge of warm tropical air from the south. Then early Saturday, as you can see here, maybe a few spotty light showers south of Route 20. With most data pointing to this generally staying south of I-90. Our in-house model here showing it going a bit more to the north. So we'll see how this plays out, but again, our thoughts are most of that rain does stay south. If you're heading to check out some of the fall foliage this weekend, again, near peak fall colors in the high peaks in the Adirondacks, muted colors in Old Forge, but other locations in the highest elevations are still reporting some vibrant conditions as well. And so your 7-day forecast, we've got a chance of a spotty shower on Saturday, mostly cloudy Sunday, dry to start your work week Monday and Tuesday, then a cool and rainy day on Wednesday, high of only 61 degrees. We're back into the upper 60s by Thursday. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Now to our west out in Austin.
Now, the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And if I recall correctly, Hurricane Katrina back in the day, 20 years ago, hit on the same day today, I think. September 27th.
That's surprising to me. I didn't think it'd be the same day.
I think that from my memory, I'm not sure if that's correct.
It was a late season one. I remember that for sure. And unfortunately, that was a lot of destruction. This is, thankfully, I don't think causing nearly as much loss of life, but the damage some of these videos we're seeing is just catastrophic. But as you take a look right now where the system currently is, we've got that now tropical storm Helene, no longer a hurricane. It lost its designation with the wind speeds now around 70 to 80 miles per hour, which is still very strong. That's in an isolated storm in our area, a severe thunderstorm warning. But this system will continue to shift north and west, weaken into a post-tropical depression when it finally reaches parts of Tennessee and Kentucky, but still bringing torrential rain and winds along the way. Downtown Utica right now, here locally, it's a foggy start to your day today. Again, watch out for some areas of denser fog as you take a look at the visibility sensors across New York State. 0 mile visibility reported in Rome, same thing up in Saranac Lake, with temperatures in the 50s this morning. So it's a quiet start, at least a cool start as well. And besides some patchy drizzle, the radar is indicating completely quiet conditions. Next 12 hours, that fog will gradually lift. We'll see some more sunshine pop up as we head into the afternoon, with temperatures climbing as high as the low to mid 70s. So pretty pleasant Friday on tap. But as we head into the weekend, we might be cutting it close with some rain chances. We'll talk about those chances, plus the cloud cover and all that you can expect for the weekend straight ahead. Gary?
And Eric, I had the day right. It was the 27th, but it was August.
August, okay. I remember it was a late season one. Remember that.
Way back when. And don't forget the Storm Tracker 2 forecast, never more than 10 minutes away. Vice President Kamala Harris will visit the U.S.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Friday. We are showing our photo of the day today to wrap up the work week, and this one takes us to Westmoreland. Well, not quite in Westmoreland, but near Westmoreland, especially along the I-90 thruway. And I saw this yesterday on my way back from Syracuse, visited the Parade of Homes, and as you can see in the backdrop, a colorful sunset, but on top of that, a foggy one too. There were patches of fog along the corridor as you headed both east and westbound between Utica and Syracuse. Pretty interesting. And I'm glad someone was able to take a photo right here. Of course, this is one taken by Angela in Westmoreland, of course, of that foggy sunset. If you would like to submit a photo like this one, send it to the link right there on top of your screen, wktv.com/weather/pics. We are looking forward to seeing all the great submissions all of you have been providing us. It's been great showcasing the beautiful colors of the fall foliage last year, as well as even showing the snow, showing the sunshine, showing everything that makes Central New York special. It's a great segment I love to provide for you guys. We are tracking a nice day today, followed by potentially an unsettled start to the weekend. We'll talk about that straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The popular Bourbon and Blues event made a
New
comeback.
York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. We are starting out the day today with areas of dense fog. Now, in downtown Utica, that fog is slowly starting to lift. We'll take a look at that right now. The lowest elevations saw the fog today as you headed up into the hilltops. It was a lot more clear, but as you see here, fog, of course, slowly starting to lift and dissipate. Still foggy in Rome, comfortable humidity, dew point of 54, and the winds from the east at around 3 miles per hour. And the radar showing a bit less of an inversion taking place now. That light green is getting faded away, and we're tracking mainly dry conditions, only a few spots of some patchy light drizzle. High pressure is moving back in again, keeping our weather dry for today. However, we're keeping our close eye on the remnants of Hurricane Helene, which is now a tropical storm Helene. And zooming in, it is now at least the former eye wall passing into South Carolina at this point. And it will continue northward and then shift out to the west, impacting Tennessee and parts of Kentucky. So if you know friends and family in that area, make sure they're prepared for potential outages, as well as having plenty of supply of water and fuel. And what I mean by outages is just look at these numbers here, and this can do all the explaining. Look at this, 1.2 million without power in Florida, 800,000 in Georgia, 500,000 in South Carolina, 100,000 in North Carolina. Several million people without power from this storm. So it's a pretty strong one. And again, this is still continuing northward into parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. Bigger picture. Here locally, that high pressure keeps things quiet for your Friday, but a surge of tropical moisture will shift north. Not the direct impact from Helene, but a result from it. And this could fire up an isolated shower heading into Saturday. But for today, though, that fog burns off. Sunshine arrives this afternoon. It's a pretty pleasant Friday. Then following that, we'll see clouds increase late this evening and tonight, with temperatures only falling into the low 60s. Notice a few spotty showers inching northward. They're falling apart as they move more and more north. But I'm still thinking maybe a light sprinkle possible south of Route 20. That's really about it. Our foliage report, again, if you're heading out anywhere this weekend, near peak colors up in the North Country, some spots, especially up near Whiteface, 70% color change so far. But I think next week is likely to be the peak fall colors for the high peaks and the North Country. And then as we head into the Mohawk Valley, it might take another week or so to get there. Saturday, rain showers isolated. This is not a widespread event, maybe a light sprinkle here or there south of Route 20. Mostly cloudy Sunday, dry for the start of the work week, cool and rainy for Wednesday, high of 61. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Utica is hosting lacrosse.
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, Central New York. Locally dense fog is starting to lift, and we'll see a lot more sunshine heading into the late morning and early afternoon. Bigger picture, radar and satellite showing high pressure firmly in place over our area for now. So that patchy drizzle as well early this morning has been coming to an end. To the south, we're keeping our close eye on the Hurricane Helene path, which is now a tropical storm path, expected to continue to weaken into a post-tropical depression once it continues north and east, or north and west, beyond the North and South Carolina border into Kentucky and Tennessee. So a heads up for anyone that you know in that area, especially, again, the border of North Carolina, Tennessee, into Kentucky. This is a strong storm, and I think these numbers can paint a good picture as to why. Over 1.2 million without power in Florida, 500,000 in South Carolina, nearly 1 million in Georgia, and over 100,000 in North Carolina. So this is producing devastation, especially with power outages, as that initially Category 4 storm made landfall. Now, what does that mean for us here locally? Well, high pressure, again, as I mentioned, is setting in today. We'll remain dry with plenty of opportunity for sunshine, but we've got the remnants of the system still shifting to the west, but this still will drive a surge of tropical moisture up north, enough to potentially impact us for this weekend. Definitely a few clouds and potentially a spotty shower. On our Skycast, morning fog early today will be lifting and sunshine moving in. Temperatures climbing as high as the low to mid 70s. Then by this evening, a few high clouds moving in from the south and from the west, and temperatures only staying in the low 60s overnight tonight. But heading into early Saturday, notice right here, a spotty sprinkle could potentially fall apart as it continues northward. Our in-house model here is more bullish on these showers heading farther to the north, as far north as the North Country, but I really think we got plenty of high pressure in place to really drive that south. So, in my opinion, a spotty light shower south of Route 20, and then will be dry as you head farther to the north for Saturday and Sunday. But for Saturday, again, that's the best shot for rain to the south. Our foliage report for this weekend, near peak colors in the Adirondacks, especially up near the high peaks. Some reports up near Whiteface reporting 70% changed color. So it's moving pretty quick up in the high peaks. But again, you head into the Old Forge area, still near peak. So giving them a few more days. I think the first week of October will be peak colors in the Adirondacks, as well as give it a few more weeks, and then the Mohawk Valley will likely follow. And so your 7-day forecast, still keeping that isolated shower chance on the forecast for Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the low 70s. Monday and Tuesday, still looking dry with more opportunity for sunshine. And then a cool and rainy day Wednesday, high of only 61 degrees, a low 45. We're back into the upper 60s by Thursday.
Don't pass up New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, Central New York. Locally dense fog is starting to lift, and we'll see a lot more sunshine heading into the late morning and early afternoon. Bigger picture, radar and satellite showing high pressure firmly in place over our area for now. So that patchy drizzle as well early this morning has been coming to an end. To the south, we're keeping our close eye on the Hurricane Helene path, which is now a tropical storm path, expected to continue to weaken into a post-tropical depression once it continues north and east, or north and west, beyond the North and South Carolina border into Kentucky and Tennessee. So a heads up for anyone that you know in that area, especially, again, the border of North Carolina, Tennessee, into Kentucky. This is a strong storm, and I think these numbers can paint a good picture as to why. Over 1.2 million without power in Florida, 500,000 in South Carolina, nearly a million in Georgia, and over 100,000 in North Carolina. So this is producing devastation, especially with power outages, as that initially Category 4 storm made landfall. Now, what does that mean for us here locally? Well, high pressure, again, as I mentioned, is setting in today. We'll remain dry with plenty of opportunity for sunshine, but we've got the remnants of the system still shifting to the west, but this still will drive a surge of tropical moisture up north, enough to potentially impact us for this weekend. Definitely a few clouds and potentially a spotty shower. On our Skycast, morning fog early today will be lifting and sunshine moving in. Temperatures climbing as high as the low to mid 70s. Then by this evening, a few high clouds moving in from the south and from the west, and temperatures only staying in the low 60s overnight tonight. But heading into early Saturday, notice right here, a spotty sprinkle could potentially fall apart as it continues northward. Our in-house model here is more bullish on these showers heading farther to the north. As far north as the North Country, but I really think we got plenty of high pressure in place to really drive that south. So, in my opinion, a spotty light shower south of Route 20, and then will be dry as you head farther to the north for Saturday and Sunday. But for Saturday, again, that's the best shot for rain to the south. Our foliage report for this weekend, near peak colors in the Adirondacks, especially up near the high peaks. Some reports up near Whiteface reporting 70% changed color. So it's moving pretty quick up in the high peaks. But again, you head into the Old Forge area, still near peak. So giving them a few more days, I think the first week of October will be peak colors in the Adirondacks. As well as give it a few more weeks, and then the Mohawk Valley will likely follow. And so your 7-day forecast, still keeping that isolated shower chance on the forecast for Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the low 70s. Monday and Tuesday, still looking dry with more opportunity for sunshine. And then a cool and rainy day Wednesday, high of only 61 degrees. Low 45. We're back into the upper 60s by Thursday.
This is New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good Friday morning, Central New York. Locally dense fog is starting to lift, and we'll see a lot more sunshine heading into the late morning and early afternoon. Bigger picture, radar and satellite showing high pressure firmly in place over our area for now. So that patchy drizzle as well early this morning has been coming to an end. To the south, we're keeping our close eye on the Hurricane Helene path, which is now a tropical storm path, expected to continue to weaken into a post-tropical depression once it continues north and east, or north and west, beyond the North and South Carolina border into Kentucky and Tennessee. So a heads up for anyone that you know in that area, especially, again, the border of North Carolina, Tennessee, into Kentucky. This is a strong storm, and I think these numbers can paint a good picture as to why. Over 1.2 million without power in Florida, 500,000 in South Carolina, nearly a million in Georgia, and over 100,000 in North Carolina. So this is producing devastation, especially with power outages, as that initially Category 4 storm made landfall. Now, what does that mean for us here locally? Well, high pressure, again, as I mentioned, is setting in today. We'll remain dry with plenty of opportunity for sunshine, but we've got the remnants of the system still shifting to the west, but this still will drive a surge of tropical moisture up north, enough to potentially impact us for this weekend. Definitely a few clouds and potentially a spotty shower. On our Skycast, morning fog early today will be lifting and sunshine moving in. Temperatures climbing as high as the low to mid 70s. Then by this evening, a few high clouds moving in from the south and from the west, and temperatures only staying in the low 60s overnight tonight. But heading into early Saturday, notice right here, a spotty sprinkle could potentially fall apart as it continues northward. Our in-house model here is more bullish on these showers heading farther to the north. As far north as the North Country, but I really think we got plenty of high pressure in place to really drive that south. So, in my opinion, a spotty light shower south of Route 20, and then will be dry as you head farther to the north for Saturday and Sunday. But for Saturday, again, that's the best shot for rain to the south. Our foliage report for this weekend, near peak colors in the Adirondacks, especially up near the high peaks. Some reports up near Whiteface reporting 70% changed color. So it's moving pretty quick up in the high peaks. But again, you head into the Old Forge area, still near peak. So giving them a few more days, I think the first week of October will be peak colors in the Adirondacks. As well as give it a few more weeks, and then the Mohawk Valley will likely follow. And so your 7-day forecast, still keeping that isolated shower chance on the forecast for Saturday. Sunday, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the low 70s. Monday and Tuesday, still looking dry with more opportunity for sunshine. And then a cool and rainy day Wednesday, high of only 61 degrees. Low 45. We're back into the upper 60s by Thursday.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida, and boy, did it. People had to be rescued from their homes as the rising waters put so many people in danger. This is just some of the video coming in after the devastation was unfolded after what happened overnight. And we now just got some daylight video in from Florida. Check this out right here. Helene made landfall as a Category 4 storm. The storm surge just too much for so many communities from all over Florida. Helene has now been downgraded to a tropical storm and is now dumping heavy rain and unleashing intense winds on Georgia and the Carolinas. NBC's Jay Gray weathered the storm in Tallahassee and continues our coverage. Jay?
Well, Helene causing significant damage, problems in Florida, and still moving and will be an issue through the weekend. Let's talk about what's happened here in Florida. In Tallahassee, we saw violent winds, a driving rain that at time was pushed sideways by those winds. We know there are trees down, power outages, and getting to really figure out now as we get into the day after exactly what happened here and across the state. Flooding, as always, a significant issue, especially along the coastline with a storm surge in some areas, 9 to 10 feet. So we saw significant flooding along the coast. But then inland, this storm delivered 12 inches of rain in some areas. Too much water, too fast, to flash flooding and pushing that water into places it's never been before. Let's assess where we are with this thing. Still significant power outages here in Florida, but we expect to see that go down. It's a nice day, and we've seen crews moving into the areas and trying to restore some of that power. As this storm has moved through Georgia, it's left close to 1 million people there without power. South Carolina had initially 500,000 without power. Those numbers are going to climb, and this storm is going to continue to cause problems. Look, it's been downgraded, obviously, though it was a hurricane overnight as it moved into Georgia. Still a Category 1. That real testimony to the intensity and the staying power of this storm. But it's going to affect the Carolinas. I think we'll see significant flooding there. Tennessee, Kentucky, it's going to continue to be a problem through the weekend. So as we're assessing things and starting to clean up and try and do some recovery in the areas where Helene's already been, this system will still be wreaking havoc as it moves through the southeast. So a lot to continue to watch on this storm. That's the latest right now from Tallahassee. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
Jay, thanks. Meanwhile, New York State has sent first responders to North Carolina to be staged to go wherever needed. 16 swift water rescue personnel, 2 canines, and emergency response equipment. The team can conduct search and water rescues for people and animals and provide emergency medical care. Meteorologist Eric Gage joining us now. And Eric, the path, will it affect us?
Well, we've got some clouds starting to be popping up on our southern sky. If you're looking outside seeing wispy clouds, that's from this system right here. It's as far north as Pennsylvania. We could see a light sprinkle from this, but most of this actually trends its direction towards the west. But as Jay mentioned, again, regardless of whether this is a Category 4, Category 1 storm, even tropical storm, it's still producing lots of rain. Flooding main concern. Storm surge is the primary concern near Tallahassee in the Big Bend area of Florida. And of course, the winds being a concern. Well, right now, wind speed sitting at 45 miles per hour. So we're no longer at a hurricane status, but of course, tropical storm status. Weakening into a post-tropical depression, hovering around the Tennessee and Kentucky border as we head into the next 12 to 18 hours. So a heads up for those of you who know folks in that area that is still going to be seeing plenty of rain and potentially more outages. Across central New York, quite a different scene. Lots of blue skies. That morning fog has lifted. It's a beautiful day out there, 66 and sunny. And again, when I mention a sunny 66 versus a cloudy 66, I think that this feels a lot warmer compared to, of course, without seeing any cloud cover. But slightly muggy out there. Radar, again, tracking quiet conditions, still only picking up some weak signals in the atmosphere. Next 12 hours showing sunshine, changing to a few more clouds in the sky. That what's left of Helene is going to drive up some tropical moisture, produce some more clouds in the sky, but again, remaining dry until at least tomorrow. But we're talking about those rain chances in detail for the weekend straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The GPO Federal Credit Union on Genesee Street in South Utica's
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone. Widespread dense fog early this morning has lifted, giving way to sunshine across the board. Now, the radar right now here locally is dry after, again, widespread rain yesterday. The radar looked much different, but this will be probably the quietest the radar will be within the next, I would say, 1 to 2 days. Now, we're not talking about heavy rain, but the chance of a light sprinkle. Notice we got high pressure in place right now, but some rain showers from Helene are on our doorstep. Now, the brunt of this system is going to shift more and more west. You can actually see the trend starting to take place right now. It's moving north, but you can start to see it begin to shift westward. That's where the previous eye of the storm will go, but this is still strong enough to surge up some tropical moisture into our area heading into the weekend. But for now, things are sunny. In fact, you can actually see some of those clouds from Helene in the southern sky today. They're faint, they're wispy, but those are from the hurricane. Current conditions sitting at 66 degrees with sunny skies. It's a very pleasant afternoon, and any of you who are planning on doing or heading to some Friday night light under the lights tonight for some football, temperatures will be in the low 60s with some thin clouds. Now, I will ask the question, why is the ref cheering? Maybe she's got money on the game. Bigger picture, high pressure, again, keeping things quiet today. As we head into tonight, we'll see clouds increase, the potential for a spotty shower as we head into Saturday morning and into the evening hours as well. Most of that activity will potentially take place south of Route 20. That's what our thoughts are right now, because the data is a little bit hit or miss with how far north the rain goes, but there's not a lot of fuel for these showers to work with, so I'm not thinking anything more than just some light sprinkles. As you can see here, they end up falling apart as they push north. Now, our model here is a bit more bullish on rain arriving Saturday evening, and then into Sunday, more rain to the north. But again, I don't think that's the most likely scenario with this weekend. I still think it's going to be mostly cloudy Sunday with faded sunshine Saturday and then potential for a spotty shower. But the weekend shaping up not too bad. Matter of fact, with the weekend, especially heading up north, looking mainly dry, looking out to see some of the fall foliage this weekend. Well, the North Country, near peak colors. Whiteface reporting near as high as 70% leaf color change. In Old Forge, although leaves have changed, still a bit muted, but other locations are reporting brighter colors. So it just depends on where you go if you head up north this weekend. Your 7-day forecast. Again, a chance of a light shower Saturday. Most of us remain dry. Sunday, mostly cloudy, dry for the start of the work week. Temperatures peaking in the mid-70s. Then a cool down as we head into Wednesday of next week. A high of 61 degrees with rain. It's going to be a cool rain. Not a cold rain, but a cool one. But we rebound back into the upper 60s by the end of the week.
Weekend looks pretty good, though.
Yeah, not too bad. Maybe dodging a stray shower, but nothing like what we saw yesterday. That was a good soaking rain.
Good thing the hurricane's going to the left and not the right.
Yes.
Eric, thanks. Well, coming up, the FAA's latest safety. Welcome back. If you weren't with us earlier, Hurricane Helene has been downgraded to a tropical storm as it now moves through Georgia. And Eric, the danger is not over, though.
Yes, and regardless of category, tropical storms still producing a good amount of punch. Lots of winds here, lots of heavy downpours and rainfall as it moves through the Carolinas into Tennessee and Kentucky. Let's zoom in, though, again. Let's take a look at what's going on to our south and west. Notice those rain showers going as far north as the middle of Pennsylvania, I'd say probably around Philadelphia area. But again, the path of this system will continue westward until it weakens into a post-tropical depression. So this no longer has the fuel to keep strengthening anymore. Again, went from Category 4 down to, right now, a tropical storm. Across central New York, well, we've got a much different scene than, unfortunately, the folks in the southeast. We've got gorgeous weather, thankfully. It's across the board, sunshine, temperatures in the 60s, a very pleasant fall-like day today, and still slightly muggy out there. That's the only thing, is it still feels a little bit humid, and the radar can actually pick up on some of that humidity right now. Next 12 hours favoring partly sunny skies as those clouds slowly begin to move in from the south. And we'll see mostly cloudy skies tonight and potentially a stray shower over the weekend. We'll have a look at that detailed weekend forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis held a press conference a short time ago updating the media as best as he could regarding Helene. Now, she made landfall at Deckle Beach in Taylor County, right in the Big Bend area of the Gulf Coast of Florida. Plenty of rescues happened overnight, including that woman with an infant baby. Again, it made landfall with sustained winds of 140 miles per hour and moved at just 23 miles per hour. So that massive storm was over that area of Florida for quite some time and caused plenty of storm damage. So far, 2 deaths have been reported. There was a traffic fatality last night and one this morning with a tree falling on a home.
Overnight, as soon as the storm, as soon as it was safe to do, and even in many cases probably wasn't perfectly safe to do, search and rescue operations were conducted to help people that were in distress and transport them to safety. These missions continue, but we've had thousands of missions successfully completed in the overnight hours throughout the state.
Right now, there are 1.2 million people in Florida without power. There are also major power outages already in Georgia and North Carolina. Now, the good news, as you heard Eric, we are not expected to get much at all from the outer bands as the storm moves up and to the west. Now to the race.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon. After widespread dense fog this morning, the fog has lifted and we've got gorgeous blue skies across the board. But first, let's take a look at the radar right now, because about 24 hours ago, this looked much different. Very consistent, steady, soaking rain across the board. Much needed rainfall, and now we're getting a dry day to follow that. A great Friday afternoon right now. And the reason why is because we got high pressure firmly in place here over central New York. But I want to turn our attention to the south. That's where we are tracking what's left of Hurricane Helene, which is now Tropical Storm Helene. Lots of heavy rain, all those yellows and oranges and dark greens, steady downpours as the system slowly starts to hook westward. But we are seeing some impacts of it right now, though it's not really impactful. Those high clouds in the southern sky, that's the cirrus clouds on the leading edge of that front, bringing in that tropical moisture, which could be causing us to see some spotty light rain tomorrow. 66 and sunny across the board today, so again, it's a very comfortable heat out there right now. And if you're heading out to Friday night football tonight, weather looks dry, thin clouds, temperatures in the low 60s, so great weather for that. Bigger picture, again, here's that high pressure in place right now, but watch how the strength of this system can actually bring in a few showers. High pressure tries its best to make these rain showers fall apart, but 1 or 2 stragglers could move north, as far north as Route 20, and produce some light sprinkles. I don't think there's a lot of forcing with this system, so for now, I really think that we're gonna keep this most of the day dry for Saturday. But again, some locations could see a spotty light sprinkle. Our Skycast shows sunshine today, a few clouds increasing throughout the afternoon, and by this evening, mostly cloudy. A spotty sprinkle here and there heading into Saturday afternoon. But our model here is showing a lot more rain shower chances, but I do think that most of these do dry up as they push farther to the north. So if you're heading to, say, for example, the North Country up in Inlet, Old Forge, maybe as far north as Hamilton County into the High Peaks area, even more to the north, near peak fall colors. So you've got great conditions, at least for Saturday and Sunday up there, with just mostly cloudy skies and temperatures in the upper 60s, low 70s. So again, that's the weekend forecast right there. Chance of an isolated shower on Saturday, especially Saturday morning. But we dry out Monday and Tuesday. Temperatures in the 70s. A quick cool down into the low 60s by Wednesday with rain, but we're back into the upper 60s by Thursday of next week. Gary?
Eric, thanks. News Talk this noon.
The forecast heading into our weekend with Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Looks like a great weekend here. I know there's a lot going on tonight. High school football looking great weather-wise. It should be very comfortable. Mostly cloudy skies. Sunset is before 7 o'clock, so it is going to be getting dark very quickly here by kickoff for a lot of the games. We're looking at high clouds and temperatures in the 60s. It's dry. It's very comfortable. And it should be a pretty nice night across central New York. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar is quiet. Temperature 72 degrees. We have that high overcast, and it's going to stay this way throughout the majority of the weekend. Those high clouds will stick around. It stays generally pleasant. Very small chances for rain, and it's mainly Saturday night as we see the very, very fringe of the remnants of Helene affecting our area. But again, it's nothing more than a few sprinkles. The steadier rain in the forecast doesn't return until Wednesday. Temperatures in the 60s this evening. We're going to take a look at the weekend forecast coming up. Kristen, back to you.
Bill, thank you. The villages of Ilion and Herkimer are getting money from the state to improve their...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Cardis.
Good evening. It's going to turn out to be a lovely weekend here in central New York. Let's take a live look in Old Forge, where we've seen more sunshine today compared to elsewhere. Still a pretty nice day. The clouds are thicker across the Mohawk and Southern valleys. Current temperature in Old Forge, 72 degrees. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. It looks dry, and the weather is generally going to be dry over the weekend. We are tracking a couple of sprinkles around. Should be a great weekend to get out to Barnfest in Remsen. Looking at mostly cloudy skies both Saturday and Sunday. Comfortable temperatures in the low 70s on Saturday, upper 60s Sunday. This time of the year, we're in the mid 60s. That's the average high, so we are going to be warmer than that. And again, it's generally dry. The best chance of rain, and this is just a few showers, nothing heavy, is going to be Saturday night into Sunday. We are going to see some very minor effects from Helene as that storm stays to the south. Fall colors are coming out. We're looking at near peak color in the Adirondacks this weekend. There's a decent amount of color across all of central New York, but I think we're really going to notice the colors over the next couple of weeks. We're still a few weeks away from peak fall foliage in the lower elevations. Westerville 74, West Berlin 73, Dolgeville 72, a very warm day for this late in September. Cooperstown 72, Oneonta 70, Sherburne 75, Hamilton 70 degrees. Bigger picture shows the remnants of Helene continuing to move to the north. This was a major, major storm, not only making landfall as a Category 4 hurricane, but also it did a lot of flood damage in the Appalachian Mountains. There's been catastrophic flooding that is ongoing in that area. And again, we're very thankful that we're going to be missing out on the brunt of this. What we are watching is this very northern fringe. See this arm of very light rain? I think that's about the most weather that we're going to get from this weather system as it moves very slowly to the north. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies. Overnight lows in the low 60s to upper 50s, so a relatively mild night. Mostly cloudy throughout Saturday. Temperatures climb into the low 70s. A few sprinkles show up, especially south of the Mohawk Valley. Rain showers expected Saturday night, and a few lingering sprinkles are possible early Sunday morning, but in general we'll be drying out heading into the afternoon. Temperatures cooler Sunday compared to Saturday with highs in the upper 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight, 56 for the overnight low. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with sprinkle possible late. Temperatures in the low 70s. A few sprinkles here Saturday night into early Sunday. Sunday's high 68. Monday, Tuesday looking dry. A cold front arrives on Wednesday. Temperatures in the 60s Thursday and Friday, but not too bad for the weekend.
No, I guess not. All right, Bill, thank you.
Tropical depression Helene continues to spin north, and in its wake, millions of people without power now.
At least 25 people were killed when Helene hit as a Category 4 hurricane. Michael Yoshida reports.
This is still a very dangerous situation. Even though some of the storm surge is receding in Florida.
Boats on yards in front of homes, roofs torn off, trees toppled, vehicles crushed. Many Floridians are assessing Helene's punishing overnight blow while the threat moved north.
There's still so much that's happening across many states.
Potentially historic and devastating flood levels are washing across large parts of the southeast.
We're also trying to get the multiple structures right now that we know have individuals inside that we're unable to communicate with.
Georgia's governor confirming Friday afternoon that multiple people remain trapped in buildings. Water rescues in that state and others have essentially been nonstop since Helene's landfall. In North Carolina, forecasters predict Helene's impact to be one of the most significant weather events to happen in the modern era for the region. At least 2 storm-related fatalities have happened there. Around mountainous Asheville, already saturated from pre-Helene rains, there are other threats.
I am worried about potential building falling and collapses and landslides.
The river just keeps coming up. I don't know when it's supposed to crest today, but it's...
Trees are down on roads everywhere. Don't get out if you don't have to.
Good advice echoed by just about every emergency management official.
You need to exercise extreme caution.
That's Michael Yoshida reporting. Coming up, if it's Friday, it's Sports Express. John Serio is live in Frankfurt tonight at the game. Right, Bill?
Yeah, the weather looks fantastic for high school football. Temperatures will be in the 60s. We're looking at dry weather all throughout central New York. Take a look at this beautiful sunset. This was taken yesterday by Abby Meager. You can see some fog in this picture as well. We should have a pretty nice sunset tonight. If those high clouds are thin enough, they should be able to provide some colorful skies here tonight. Our sunset time, by the way, is just before 7. It's about 6:55. Temperatures are going to be generally above average. Our average high in the upper 60s will be above that just about every day for the next 4. We do have some cooler weather in the forecast, though, by Wednesday with highs in the low 60s. Taking the dog out for a walk this evening. The weather looks fine. We're dry. It's comfortable. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s. Tonight's featured dog, Frazzle from Salisbury Center. This is brought to you by Nye Automotive Group. We're taking a look at a really nice weekend forecast, and that's coming up. Kristen, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. No matter what your weekend plans include, tomorrow...
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're continuing to track nice weather as we head into the weekend. The high clouds that we're seeing out there today are from the remnants of Helene. This is not expected to bring us very much weather in our area. I know it's been a devastating storm to the south with destructive wind along with catastrophic flooding, especially in the Appalachian Mountains. But locally, this is only expected to bring some clouds and maybe a sprinkle, no wind. Live look at downtown Utica, temperature of 69 degrees. The sunset times, actually wanted to update you on this. It's actually 6:48 tonight. So we are rapidly losing daylight. It happened so quickly. I feel like it was just yesterday that we're talking about the sunset at 7 o'clock. But again, we're going to continue to lose time, light here at the during the evening time. In fact, 1 month from now, the sunset will be before 6 o'clock. As we take a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, things look quiet. It's going to be a lovely weekend here in central New York. If you want to get a head start on the fall foliage season, the place to go with the Adirondacks. Areas will be near peak. I think peak will be happening at some point next week, probably the middle of next week for the higher elevations, but still a lot of color to be seen. And take advantage of it. We've got the nice weather to go along with this, so it's not always guaranteed as we head into October. Especially later in the month. As we take a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, again, it's quiet. Skywatchers checking in. Temperatures pretty warm for this time of the year. Clinton 72, Whitesboro 71, Micah, New Hartford 69, Fairfield, Sandy 69 degrees, Eric and Inlet 69. Worcester, 71. Skidivus checking in, Gary, with 73. So the remnants of Helene will continue to move northward, and the weather that we're going to be seeing is this very northern fringe of light rain. I think this is going to survive the trip as it heads to the north, but it's going to take pretty much the whole weekend for that to arrive. And again, we're only talking about a couple of sprinkles here. Most of that arrives Saturday night. Storm Tracker 2 skycast, mostly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows in the low 60s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A relatively mild day. Temperatures in the low 70s. A few sprinkles are possible late in the day. A few showers expected Saturday night. Very light precipitation. This is expected to linger into early Sunday, and then we get a chance to dry out. Sunday looks cooler with high temperatures in the low 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows in the upper 50s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A sprinkle late. 73 for the high. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather looks nice early next week. Temperatures in the 70s Monday and Tuesday. A cold front arrives Wednesday. It brings rain and some cooler weather with highs in the 60s Thursday and Friday. We'll be right back.
A lot of events happening this weekend. We're going to talk about some of them in our broadcast. We want to know, what's it going to be like outside?
Even for tonight, high school football, a lot of sports going on. Everyone wants to know what to expect when it comes to weather. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
And the weather looks great. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies. We are going to be on the very northern fringe of Helene, but it's not expected to cause any big issues in our area as we head into the weekend. Let's talk about high school football. Heading on to the game this evening, temperatures are going to be in the 60s, mostly cloudy skies, very comfortable, and we're dry with just a light wind. A perfect night for high school football, and a generally lovely weekend is expected. A live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. All is quiet. Current temperature 67 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. We should see a pretty nice sunset this evening with some high clouds in place. The weather generally cooperates over the weekend. There's a very small chance for a few showers here late Saturday, Saturday night, and very early Sunday, but they look to be few and far between and very scattered. This evening, temperatures will be in the 60s. We've got to look at the weekend forecast along with the best places to see fall color, and that's coming up. Back over to you.
Bill, thank you. Utica Police spent the day
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are tracking some nice weather for the most part as we head into the weekend. Let's take a live look at downtown Utica. Some high clouds rolling in. Temperatures are warm. We're in the upper 60s. With the high clouds in place, it'll take some time to cool off tonight. These high clouds are from Helene, the remnants of Hurricane Helene, which will very minorly impact our weather as we head into the weekend. Most of it is clouds. A couple of sprinkles will be possible here Saturday night. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. All is quiet. If you're heading out to Barnfest over the weekend, temperatures are expected to be in the low 70s on Saturday. Could see a sprinkle very late in the day, but again, best chance of showers Saturday night into very early Sunday. Cooler Sunday with a high temperature of 68. Fall colors are starting to come out. They're starting to emerge. The best color is expected to be in the Adirondacks. While it's a little bit before peak, it is not that far from peak. So I think this is a good weekend to check out the colors in the higher elevations of the Adirondacks, Old Forge, Hamilton County, Lake Placid, Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake. Those are great places to go. Again, we're looking at some of the best colors to happen relatively soon in those areas. Even though it's not quite peak this weekend, I think it'll be a few days into next week. Sunset times rapidly changing. Tonight's sunset 6:48. By next week, we lose about 13 minutes, 6:35. Next month, it'll be approaching 6 o'clock. Skywatchers checking in. A warm day. Bob and Clinton 62. Eric and Inlet 69. Bill and Old Forge 65. Worcester 71. Mark and Milford 66. The remnants of Helene, which was a major hurricane, is much weaker. We're seeing the leading edge of this working to the north. This is going to be our weather as we head into the weekend. The very northern fringe of this could give us a couple of sprinkles here Saturday night. Storm Tracker 2 skycast, mostly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows in the upper 50s. Mostly cloudy throughout Saturday. We'll see a few glimpses of sunshine, especially north. Temperatures climb into the low 70s. A few sprinkles are possible Saturday night as well as early Sunday, but they don't last for very long. Temperatures will be cooler Sunday with highs in the lower 60s. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 56. Tomorrow, a generally pleasant day, mostly cloudy, mild, temperatures in the low 70s, a few sprinkles late. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. We're in the 70s Monday and Tuesday, dry. A cold front arrives Wednesday, and that's going to knock temperatures into the 60s as we head into the middle and end of the week. Not a fan of the cooler weather.
Not a fan of the cooler weather.
I know, this is nice weather.
I know, we're
so
getting
used to it
We're
now.
very spoiled right now.
Yeah, we're supposed to be in the 60s this time of the year, so we'll enjoy
Right.
it.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Still to come on News Channel 2 at 6. We're going to
News with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene has now turned into a tropical storm depression as it continues its path north. But we're learning now at the height of her destruction, Helene claimed the lives of over 24 people. The former Cat 4 hurricane severely impacting huge portions of the southeast. People are now grappling with life-threatening floodwaters and infrastructure that's gone or at risk of buckling under the strain. Ivan Rodriguez is in Keaton Beach, Florida, where much of that town was leveled.
Erin Peeler walks along this dusty road in Keaton Beach, seemingly in bewilderment. Her home and all her neighbors' homes gone.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes just gone.
Man, I just lost my house. I have nothing else to go.
Erin's husband says, like so many others, they were not expecting Helene to pack such a powerful punch.
We expect some water, but not a daggum, our house just disappeared.
Across the southeast, Helene devastated entire structures, toppled trees, and crushed vehicles. A deluge so overwhelming in Tennessee on Friday, at least 54 people stranded on a hospital roof awaiting rescue. In North Carolina, where Helene claimed at least 2 lives, the governor said Helene is, quote, one of the worst storms in modern history for parts of North Carolina.
I am worried about potential building falling and collapses and landslides and stuff like that.
The storm's damaging winds caused entire homes to float away and left millions without power. But with the deadly storm's death toll now at least 28 dead, escaping with one's life is not something to be taken for granted.
At the end of the day, I'm lucky we didn't stay. We definitely, nobody would have made it through this.
In Keaton Beach, Florida, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Time now to check in with Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis, and some of the numbers that we're seeing with the aftermath of this are just unbelievable.
Yeah, these are incredible numbers. This is rainfall totals in North Carolina, 23.41 inches. Mount Mitchell State Park, that's almost 2 feet of rain in 24 hours. It wasn't the only one. Rainfall totals 1 to 2 feet. And this is why there's been so much catastrophic flooding. Now, the question is, why so much rainfall from these areas? Because these were far from the center of landfall here. That has everything to do with the Appalachian Mountains. We've got air that's rising over the mountainside, producing heavier rainfall. So it's the combination of the mountainside plus the tropical storm. Again, incredible totals here tonight. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Our local weather is quiet. We're expecting the weather to remain dry. Temperature of 58 degrees. We have some high clouds out there. Overnight lows will fall into the 50s. The weather stays pretty quiet over the weekend. Temperatures are going to be above average. Going to bed tonight, again, overnight lows in the upper 50s. Good night to leave the windows open. We are tracking a lovely weekend. We'll see some very, very minor effects from Helene locally. I'll explain what that means coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. City officials have released the cause of a fire on Chestnut Street.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We are taking a live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. The weather looks pretty quiet this evening. This is a live look in downtown Utica. Today, it was a pretty nice day. We saw some sunshine. High clouds have returned, and we are slowly cooling off. Temperatures have dropped into the upper 50s. The weather looks great for the most part over the weekend. There will be a small chance of a pop-up shower, a pop-up shower, I should say, as we head into tomorrow night. This could arrive as early as Saturday evening and linger as long as Sunday morning. Otherwise, it is a pretty good weekend. Barnfest, by the way, in Remsen, temperatures in the 70s on Saturday and 60s on Sunday. Overall, again, a pretty nice weekend. Looking to catch some fall foliage. We are near peak in the Adirondacks, Old Forge, Tupper Lake, Saranac Lake, Blue Mountain Lake. These are places to go to see the fall color. The early reports, the colors aren't quite as bright, but we still have some time. And just because they're not as bright in the Adirondacks doesn't mean it's going to be the case everywhere. We still have a few more weekends to go before peak color happens locally. Sunset times continue to get shorter and sooner. In fact, 6 o'clock sunsets here for the next couple of weeks until next month. By October 27th, the sunrise, or the sunset rather, is going to be closing in on 6 o'clock. This sunset taking place this evening in Westerville. These high clouds are coming from the leftovers of Helene, which is well to the south. We're seeing some high clouds with it. The storm is not going to impact us in any big way. However, we will be watching the very leading edge of this, which could create a couple of sprinkles as we head into tomorrow night. Storm Tracker 2 Skycast, mostly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows drop down into the upper 50s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, temperatures in the low 70s. A couple of sprinkles will be around tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, and early Sunday. Otherwise, it's a pretty nice weekend. Sunday, slightly cooler and east wind, temperatures in the mid to upper 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight, a low of 56. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, a few sprinkles late, 73. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. The weather looks nice early next week. Temperatures in the 70s on Monday and Tuesday. Rain on Wednesday with a cold front. Temperatures in the 60s Thursday and Friday.
Hey, we'll take this nice weekend coming up because we know what's coming.
This is a pretty great weekend to get out. A lot of outdoor events, no problems here weather-wise.
And we're going to go over some of those events in just a little bit. Coming up next, the Belgian come to Cooperstown.
The news with Jason Palace.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hurricane Helene has now turned into tropical depression as it continues to its path north. But now we're learning at the height of her destruction, Helene claimed the lives of over 24 people. The former Category 4 hurricane severely impacting huge portions of the southeast. People there are now grappling with life-threatening floodwaters and infrastructure that's gone or at the risk of buckling under the strain. Ivan Rodriguez is in Keaton Beach, Florida, where much of the town there was leveled.
Erin Peeler walks along this dusty road in Keaton Beach, seemingly in bewilderment. Her home and all her neighbors' homes gone.
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes just gone.
Man, I just lost my house. I have nothing else to go.
Erin's husband says, like so many others, they were not expecting Helene to pack such a powerful punch.
We expect some water, but not a daggum our house just disappeared.
Across the southeast, Helene devastated entire structures, toppled trees, and crushed vehicles. A deluge so overwhelming in Tennessee on Friday, at least 54 people stranded on a hospital roof awaiting rescue. In North Carolina, where Helene claimed at least 2 lives, the governor said Helene is, quote, one of the worst storms in modern history for parts of North Carolina.
I am worried about potential building falling and collapses and landslides and stuff like that.
The storm's damaging winds caused entire homes to float away and left millions without power. But with the deadly storm's death toll now at least 28 dead, escaping with one's life is not something to be taken for granted.
At the end of the day, I'm lucky we didn't stay. We definitely, nobody would have made it through this.
In Keaton Beach, Florida, I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Time now for a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bill Carterson. A number one update. They just said over 28 dead. It's now over 40 dead.
Yeah.
We talked about this yesterday on how, you know, as a forecaster, you know when you look at a storm, people are going to die if they don't get out.
It's really sobering, too. I mean, you can't avoid loss of life in certain situations, and I think there's probably going to be more tonight based on some of the preliminary reports we're seeing. And what's happening here is there is incredible flooding, historic flooding that areas of North Carolina have never seen before. And look at these rainfall totals.
North Carolina, not Florida.
Not Florida, North Carolina.
Yeah.
1 to 2 feet of rainfall. This has to do with the mountains. This storm just ran right into the Appalachian Mountains, and it caused all that tropical moisture to lift. And we saw some just incredible rainfall totals from that. Again, a really serious situation continues tonight in the Appalachian Mountains. And again, we're hoping that this situation will get better as quickly as possible. Live look at the Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar. Things look quiet in our area. We are seeing some of the cloud cover from Helene in our area. Just a few high clouds. We're not going to see a whole lot of weather from it, but we will see some very minor impacts from it over the weekend. Clear skies, some high clouds, a temperature of 58. Heading into tonight, overnight lows drop down into the upper 50s. Pretty quiet start to the weekend. We're going to look at that weekend forecast coming up. Jason, back to you.
Bill, thank you. City officials.
Central New York's most dependable weather team. Here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Good evening. We're taking a live look at downtown Utica. A temperature of 59 degrees. Dry weather across central New York tonight. The weather looks generally nice over the weekend. We're looking at mostly cloudy skies both Saturday and Sunday. Some sprinkles are possible late Saturday. Saturday night, widespread light showers, and then maybe a few sprinkles early Sunday. There's a lot going on over the weekend, including Barnfest in Remsen, temperatures in the low 70s. Expected Saturday, upper 60s on Sunday. Best place to go to check out the leaves this weekend, the Adirondacks. These areas will be near peak, and the weather should cooperate with that. Just keep in mind our sunset time gets earlier and earlier in the 6 o'clock range here over the next couple of weeks, close to 5 o'clock, or I should say before 6 o'clock here by this time next month. Beautiful sunset this evening from Abbey Meager in Westernville. We are looking at some increasing clouds from the leftovers of Helene. This could bring us a couple of sprinkles here over the weekend. It is mostly cloudy tonight. Overnight lows drop down into the upper 50s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, temperatures in the low 70s. A few sprinkles will be around as we head into Saturday night. And then Sunday, again, some showers around early in the day. We'll get a chance to dry out. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s. Mostly cloudy tonight, low temperature of 56. Tomorrow, looking at mostly cloudy skies, a few sprinkles late, temperatures in the low 70s. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. Upper 60s on Sunday. Looks nice Monday and Tuesday. Rain returns on Wednesday. Jason.
Bill, thank you. Up next.